So Europe's a fairly well trodden path for Australians and I guess the New Zealanders that make it up there and particularly during those years you mentioned some of those players you're with and you tended to I guess travel together a fair bit and build camaraderie and friendships and what was it like up in Europe for that period from '82 right throughout to the end of the '80s?
Yeah, well, when I started in Europe, by the way, by winning the Australian Open, I finished top 4 in the Order of Merit in Australia. That exempted me into Europe,
Right.
So that was a real bonus for '84. So I was straight back into Europe,
Yep.
and didn't have to. I never went to a tour school until 1996. So
Okay.
I did quite well out of that. But Europe was great because they had a lot of Argentinian players, obviously all the Europeans with the Spanish and Sevi and these guys, and the Germans and the Irish, the English, the Scottish. But a lot of South Africans as well, and a lot of Aussies. I think at one stage there was 20 or 30 Australians playing in Europe. So it was great fun. And I think, the tours were different back then. They only had the main tour in America and then Europe, and then Japan was only invitation only. So Europe was the next best place for the Globetrotters, I suppose, from around the world to play. And it was a lot of the top Aussies like Greg Norman and Graham Marsh. They all started out in Europe. Norman von Ida was probably started out in the 30s, and then Peter Thompson and Kel Nagel and all those guys. But it's a great place to play. I really enjoyed playing in Europe.
Now you won your National Open as we just discussed, and then you pulled, I guess, the jersey, so to speak, on for Australia, playing in a team event there with Wayne Grady in the 1989 World Cup, where you had some success. Talk me through that week, and I guess some of the matches you would have come up against, and what it was like as an Australian to find yourself on top of the world.
Yeah, it was great. It was great to play with Wayne Grady because he was a top player and a good friend of mine, and I was 1989 was probably one of my best ever years. I had 18 top 10s in Australia and Europe and throughout the world that year. So I was very consistent. I had 9 straight top 10s in Australia. So I was playing pretty well, and we had a grueling trip. It took us. We played the Australian PGA at Riverside Oaks the week before, and then we flew out. And on the Sunday night, we didn't get there till midday on the Wednesday because there was fog and storms and all those sort of things. So we didn't have a practice round. The opening ceremony was called off for rain and storms. So the first, as soon as we arrived, we spent a whole night in the car in the middle of Spain, trying to drive to the course in the south of Spain. So our high rental car looked like it had been to the Paris-Dakar rally, and Grade said, "I got to go to sleep," and I said, "Well, you go to sleep. I'll go and walk the course and do a yardage book for us, get all the measurements." So I did that. So our first game on the golf course was the first round on the Thursday, and I remember we were playing with the Belgium team, and Belgium didn't have a strong team back then, and I had a 66, Grades had 6 under, and Grades had a 68. I think we were 40 shots in front of the Belgium team after the first round. So that, but what I remember about the tournament was we were tied after 10 holes. We were tied with the Americans. I don't know what score we were on that stage, but the 11th hole was a really tough long par 3, surrounded by water, about a 5-iron shot. And Grades and I both hit it on the green, Americans were playing in front. They were playing with the Spanish team. They were in front of us, and they had all the crowds. They had the big.
Who was in the American side?
There was Mark McCumber and Paul Azinger.
Yeah.
And for the Spanish side was Jose Maria Canizares, or Candelaga as we used to call him, and Jose Maria Elazabal, a good young player. So anyway, we're on the. So we both hit on the green at 11. We both made hole-out putts for birdie. And then the 12th hole was a par 5 that went down the right-hand side of this water. And then the second shot, you did a 3-wood across the water and across some trees to the green, or you just hit it down the fairway and then pitch it on. But I said to Wayne Grady, I said, listen, mate, don't go down the fairway. Just hit a 1-iron straight between those 2 palm trees and we're going to go left of the water down another fairway. And he said, you sure? And I said, absolutely positive. So we both ripped a 1-iron down through these palm trees, down there, 6-iron on the green. We both holed it for eagle. And we picked up 10 shots on America and Spain just in those 2 holes.
Right.
And so we had a 10-shot lead after the first round on them. And then that was a beautiful day. And then the second day was washed out with rain. It's terrible. It rained all day and all night.
Yep.
And then eventually we got started on the Saturday for our second round. We're playing with Spain then, and they were really two tough competitors, you know. And the whole course was covered in water. And I remember we headed down the fairway on the first. That's about a sort of a 7 or an 8-iron to the green, and Candelaga's in the middle of the fairway, but he said, can I get a drop from the casual water? And the official said, yeah, you can. He said, and I remember they were looking around. The only place he could drop it was in the rough behind a tree. So we had to play it out. We had to play it out of the water. So Lazabal was really pissed off with that. I think he made a bogey there. And anyway, we battled around in the water there for the whole day. And I remember on 17, I pushed my tee shot right, and I'm in the trees, and I've got about a 9-iron length shot, and I'm in the trees, and I get it under these trees and over some water to get to the green. But I was in casual water, and I take a drop from casual water, yeah. So the only place we could drop it that was dry was on the middle of the 18th tee. That was the nearest point of relief. And Wayne Grady said to Lazabal, he said, you happy? Happy with that? He said, of course I'm not fucking happy, you know. Pardon the language, but that's exactly what he said. Anyway, I knocked it on the green and we 2-putted, and I think we still had about a 5-shot lead. But the way the course was, our whole thinking was we had to lead, you know, after that round, because any more rain and it would have been unplayable. And actually that particular day, maybe we probably weren't 5 in front, but because I think Canelaga had he shot 6 under on the back 9, so I think we only have a 3-shot lead or something like that. But I thought, Graves, we've just got to be in front after this day.
Yep.
And then it rained all night, and then it rained all the next morning, and about 11 o'clock it became apparent that the rain wasn't going to stop. The forecast was terrible, and they called it off after the 2 rounds, and we declared the winners. But that was it was a great thrill, and like I think it was Thompson and Nagel had won it 1 year before at Royal Melbourne. So we were the second Australian team to win, so which I was really proud of, and with all the superstar names.
Yeah.
I think Palmer and Nicholas won it at that course, Los Brises, it was in south of Spain, near Marbella, and so they won on that golf course as well, and right. So it's a real thrill.
Yeah, fantastic, great achievement, Peter.
Yeah.
We'll bring it back to Paraparaumu Beach now. And obviously, at the start of the interview, we discussed your 1993, or we mentioned your 1993 victory. But it's been really interesting in researching for this interview to actually see. I mean, your history at Paraparaumu goes right back to 1984, where you had a third placing, I believe, there behind Corey Pavin that won that year. So, was that your first visit to Paraparaumu?
I think it was. Yes, I think it was. I remember it was burnt out that year. It was, which often it does in the summer in New Zealand. We get nice dry summers here, which is great. Paraparaumu is a great. I think it's a great golf course. It's my favourite in New Zealand because it's always playable, whether it's dry, it's wet, it's whatever condition it's in. I think it's always playable, and it's a good test of golf for the pros. But I think it's still playable for the average guy. So I think that's why I think a good golf course is one that's always playable. Royal Melbourne's like that as well. So it's very well designed, and links courses generally are always in pretty good shape. It's amazing. They don't change much, and they're always in great shape. But I remember 1984 was burnt out. Corey Pavin was a star then. He played well in Europe in '83, so I knew him well.
Right.
And Terry Gale, I think Pavin was about 19 under, and I think Terry Gale finished second at about 16 under. I think I was 10 under, about third. But I really enjoyed that course from then on.
And then you obviously the New Zealand Open was a relatively regular fixture there during the 80s and into the 90s. 1988, you were back again, where Ian Stanley won, and we've discussed. We've had a chat with Mike Clayton on this series as well, and to be honest, Peter, I thought Mike Clayton was going to be the first to drop an F-bomb, but you've beat him to it. Mike talks about the last day, which was incredibly windy. He describes hitting a 4-iron, I think, into the 16th, which is a 126-metre hole. Now, you were tucked in just behind that as well, so you clearly played pretty well during that event yourself. What's your memories of 1988?
Well, first of all, my wife's youngest sister, who I think was only 16 at the time, caddied for Mike Clayton the week before at the Airlines tournament in Titirangi. Right. And he got her to come down with us all and caddy for him down there. So she never played golf. She'd never caddied before, but I think Mike finished top 10 at Titirangi and then finished second with Melissa caddying for him the following week. That's the one thing I remember.
It'd be a nice payday there for Melissa.
Yeah, good. Oh, yeah, that's exactly. And but she enjoyed it, and I know Mike was a top player, so that was a great week. I can't remember my golf, but that's what I remember from that year.
1992. You started one shot behind Grant Waite in that last round, and there again, Peter Fowler not too far from the lead at Paraparaumu Beach.
Yeah, it's sort of I can't remember how many shots I finished behind Grant, but yeah, I played well that week. Got Paraparaumu to me is you've got to drive the ball well, but you've got to be good around the greens. There's a lot of small greens there, so you miss a lot of greens, and you've got to have a good short game. So that I drove the ball well, and my short game was pretty good again. So, but one thing I remember about that week is Grant he held his second shot on the 18th for an albatross. I don't know if it was the second or third round, but
I think we're second round on the Friday. Yeah, we're gonna second. We got a little
about tied for them, and that sort of pushed him 3 ahead, and I think he finished about 3 ahead at the end.
Yeah, a couple ahead of you. Yeah, but that sets you up for 1993 and 1993 in general, and we'll kick it off with the New Zealand Open. But again, you said 89 was a good year for you. It looks like 93 was a great year for you as well. And an Australian Open as an Australian citizen. You've just told me that you've got citizenship now of New Zealand, and here you are lining up on our Open once again at a course you clearly love.
Yeah, that's right. It's 93 was a good year, and obviously coming close in 92, that sort of set me up, and so I had the mentality to go one better in 93, and which I did, and also was I lost a playoff for the Australian PGA in '93, but I won the BMW International Open in Munich, which is a favourite tournament of mine in Europe, in '93 as well. So yeah, I had a few good weeks that year, and you know, it's great to win it. You got to win certain tournaments and on certain types of golf courses. So winning on links courses was a great thrill for me.